people unemployed between 15 and 24 is a bit higher than the normal population. And long-term unemployment, the rate is 2.4%. And this includes people who have, for some reason, been able to get work. And they account for 2.4% of the total unemployed population in Sweden. And the Arbetsförmedlingen, the National Employment Agency, as of May to 2023, last month, the number of new jobs that they published was 218,786. And that's positive, because if you look at the number of people that are unemployed, at the same period, it was like 455,600 unemployed. At least if some of those people are employed, out of these 218,000, that means that the unemployment rate will go down. So these are the statistics regarding the work situation in Sweden as of last month. And I've also produced statistics detailing unemployment in the various cities in Sweden. And Stockholm, that is the capital, the unemployment rate is 5.9%. And for Uppsala, it's 5.7%. Västra Götaland, Alice was shopping years ago, is 5.4%. It's a bit lower than Stockholm. And in Skåne, that's like 8.2%. And Södermanland, excuse to my country now, shopping also, it's 6.4%. And it's a bit higher there. Westmanland, it's 7.4%. That's higher than Stockholm, but that's also explicable because there are a lot of people. There are not. It's like sparsely populated, and a lot of businesses have moved to bigger cities. So it's explicable also that the unemployment rate is a bit higher there. Like I told you in the introduction, I'll try to give some theory behind looking for work, because a lot of people just go out and look for work, but what they do is they don't do it properly. And that's one of the reasons why they find it difficult to get employment. And there are some skills, employability skills and indicators that are important in knowing if one wants to effectively look for work. And these employability skills, they are work readiness skills, or what we call foundational skills. And they're also often referred to as employment skills or soft skills. These are not, when employers advertise work, they don't specifically say that these are things that we need. It's not in the job description. But these are soft skills like coming to work on time and being, like, it doesn't matter because you can transfer it. It's transferable. If you work here today and next year you work somewhere else, you've built up this attitude of coming to work on time, because this is Sweden. I mean, if work starts at 8 o'clock, you have to be able to go to work at 8 o'clock. If you come to work at 10 o'clock, then that means you're not going to be able to hold on to your job. These things, the employability skills, they are important to improve your performance, to minimize errors, and to promote collaboration with your co-workers. I mean, being able to work with people is important. Maybe it's not listed in the job description, but it's something that is important because you are going to spend more than, out of the day, you spend more time at work than you spend with your family. Because if you go out from the house to go to work, you go home maybe from 7 o'clock, and then you come back home after 6 o'clock. That means you spend a lot of your waking, like the time that you're awake during the day, you have spent it at work. So when you come home, you're tired. You just maybe fix food, especially if your last name is Njai. You go and go straight to the kitchen and try to get some food and then go to sleep because you're tired. So that means that you have to be able to work together with the people who are your colleagues. And these things, they're, like I said, they're transferable. You take it from one workplace to another. And these employability skills, they're like communication. You have to be, these are just examples. You have to be able to communicate with your coworkers. You have to be able to, if you are responsible for a project, for example, you have to be able to communicate the things that are included in the project. And even if you're not a part of a project, I mean, if you're just working, you have to be able to communicate with your colleagues, communicate with clients, and things like that. So if you have a problem communicating, then you're really going to have a problem. And this does not really matter what kind of job you have. It can be an advanced type of job, or you can even, the lowest type of job needs communication. And when you have this skill, then you can really succeed, otherwise you have problems. You also have to be able to work with others. I've touched on that. Unless you work with something, maybe like feeding information into a computer, then maybe you don't need a lot of teamwork with others. But I mean, you are going to have your boss or something like that, so you really have to be able to work with other people. And you have to be reliable also. That's very important, because if you are not reliable, then nobody can count on you. Then that means that you will not be able to stay long in a job. You have to be able to solve problems also. And here also, it's not necessary that it is an advanced form of work. In every work situation, you'll have problems that you come across, and you have to be able to solve those problems. You have to also be able to organize and plan your work. I mean, if my job is to come and remove this bottle from the table every day, then I have to be able to think about how I'm going to do it. I have to plan maybe how to do it in an effective way, the best time-saving way. I have to be able to do it. So you have to plan, and you have to organize your work. And initiative, this is very important also, because if you work somewhere and just sit down and wait for people to tell you what to do, then you are not going to last long. I mean, you have to be able to take initiative and do stuff that you think that need to be done without being told. And if you think that if I bring this idea to my workplace, and then it will improve not only my work but that of my colleagues, then you'll be valued higher than if you just sit there and wait for people to tell you what to do. You have to be able to manage yourself too, because you work from this time to this time. If you have different, if you have a schedule that you have to work according to, then you have to be able to know that I'm going to spend like 30 minutes doing this and 20 minutes doing that and things like that. If you spend like maybe a chore that's supposed to take, or a job responsibility that should take 30 minutes, if you spend like 2 hours there, that means you would be able to do the rest of the things that you need to do. So you have to be able to manage your work. And you also have to have good leader. You have to have leadership too. You don't have to be a boss to need leadership skills. Because we can maybe be 2 or 3 people within the job, and everybody just sits down and waits for someone else to lead. That means that nobody is going to take responsibility. So it means it's important that somebody has to take the initiative and lead the work. And you have to also be able to learn, especially if you're starting a new job. I mean, it doesn't matter how qualified you are. If you start a new job, there are a lot of things that you don't understand. Even if you know the functions and everything, you are going into a new situation, and you need and the new realities too. So you need to be able to learn how to effectively do the work. So it's important also to have learning skills that is job related. And technology also is very important because maybe even in developing countries nowadays, a lot of the work includes computers, mobile phones, and things like that. So if you have technology, if you are tech savvy, that's going to help you also. So it's important that you have these employability skills. It's going to make your prospects of getting work better. There's a university in Denmark. It's called Aarhus University. They did a research project, and this is one of the biggest research projects that have to do with employability skills. They call it the BIP, like that's in Danish, but in English it's Employability Indicator Project. And these employability indicators, they're very helpful in increasing the likelihood for people to get employment. And what they did was they looked at several indicators or several factors, and we'll get to these factors later on. But the relationship between these indicators are they basically examine job readiness of people, and the likelihood that these people who are part of this target group would get employment. And these are the factors that they studied. And I just have to say that when they did this study, they did it on people who had difficulties in finding work for whatever reason. Some of them were drug addicts. Some of them had other personal problems, psychological problems, and some of them had for a long time had difficulty in finding work. So to get out of this situation, it's much more difficult than for ordinary people. But these are indicators or factors that can help everybody if people know about that. Knowing the labor market is very important in increasing your chances of getting work. For example, depending on what you want to work with, if I'm a nurse and I am looking for work within the health industry, then if I understand that it's easier for me to get work in Stockholm than it is in Trano, then I'll look for work here because I know that the labor market here is better. It's easier to get jobs. And not only even only that, but there are other things within the labor market that is important to understand if you want to really increase your chance. The ability to concentrate and understand instructions is also very important. It's a factor that will really help you to increase your chances of getting work. Like I said, this study was conducted with people who had difficulties, like I said, some were drug addicts, some have been sick for a long time, and others were grappling with psychological and other issues. But then, even now, with people who don't have these problems, if you can concentrate on doing something, like if you know that you're going to look for work, and okay, my target is that I will get work within this industry, and my goal is to get it within this specific period, and these are the things that I need to do. Then you concentrate on them, then your chances will be increased. Here also, not only people looking for work themselves, but people who have like a job coach who was helping them to get work. If I'm looking for work and I have confidence that I can find work, then that means that I will do more to be able to find work. But if I'm not confident in myself, then maybe I would not be motivated enough to go and look for work. So it's very important also to understand that being confident in yourself and your abilities will increase your chance of getting work. And like if you're a caseworker, or in this case your job coach also has confidence in you, then they will put more time in trying to help you. I've worked as my previous job. I've worked helping people. I used to work for you, and I had a lot of clients that I helped to place in different jobs. And even there, like you go to work, you try to help everybody to find work, but then there are people that put in so much effort that that these people really want to find work. Then you put in the extra effort because you are more confident in them, and the result is positive. Like I said, also it has this determination is linked to what I've talked about before. If you are determined, and you see it, you see people that like come in, and from the very start they're very interested, they're determined, because maybe they have maybe just found an apartment and want to find work to be able to keep the apartment. Then they will put in a lot of effort, and then they will find work. But then sometimes you have people that had help from the social, and they were forced to come. And you see the result there also. Those people are not motivated, they're not determined to find work. They would come, because if they don't come and you mark them absent, maybe after a couple of times, then they get contacted by the caseworker. And then maybe there are repercussions because they will get money for the month. Then those people just come because they just want to get money from the social. They're not motivated. So your motivation and your determination is very important in helping you to get work. And the ability to initiate contact also is very important, because if you, for example, if you go to a job fair, for example, and you have messed up, and then you don't have the ability to initiate any kind of conversation or contact with the employers that are there, then maybe you just go round and round and round, and then at the end of the day you go home without any positive result. But if you know how to initiate contact with the employers, then you can go in, initiate contact, present yourself, and like increase your chances of getting like at least an interview, or the employer receiving your CV and remembering you. Because when we are at job fairs, we meet like hundreds, depending on how big the job fair is. And then it's just people. And after a while, you just see people come and go. You don't remember anybody. But if somebody comes in and does something different, then you know that person, you remember. And they give you their CV and you write down, you make a note and say, Pamalik, for example, and you make notes of things that are positive, then you remember. But if Pamalik just comes in and does like everybody else does, then you don't remember him. So it's important to be able to initiate contact and those things also. Cooperation skills, like we talked about that before. It's very important to be able to cooperate with other people. Because if you go to work with attitudes, you cannot get along with people, then you're not going to stay there. Because there's not enough time. Like at the work, there are things that have to be achieved. And if you cannot cooperate, then you will have to leave. Social support is also very important, because maybe I'm alone I don't have anybody, and then I have so many issues that, like I cannot concentrate. I'm depressed and all those things. That means that I won't be able to concentrate on my job seeking mission. But if I have a support system, if I have family and friends that will support me, that means that my mental well-being, my mental health will be increased, and I'll have more, I'll be healthy in some way. I'll be able to like, concentrate on getting work. And your daily coping skills are very important too. Here we're talking about everybody wakes up in the morning, and there are certain things that you have to do. Either go to work, go to study, fix food, go out with friends, and things like that. If you know, if you have skills to help you cope with your daily chores, then that means you will have more time to be able to concentrate on trying to find work. Health and health coping skills. Here also it's very, very important, because if you are not healthy, then you're going to concentrate on getting work. So it's important that, for example, if you have problems like depression and things like that, that you go to your doctor, get the necessary help so that you will be stable enough. If you have like physical ailments, if you are sick, then go to the doctor also and get medicine so you can cure the ailment. So you will be able to concentrate on your job seeking activity. And your job search behavior also is very important. If you just take your CV, you look for work, you take one CV and you send it to 100 employers, they will know that you didn't look for this specific job, that you just took your CV and sent it to a lot of places. So that will not help you, because if you have experience, you look at a CV, you'll know whether this CV was meant for this job. And that's a mistake that a lot of people do. Take one CV, send it to 100 jobs, use it to apply for a lot of jobs. It will not help you, because people know. And then even apart from people, also there are computer systems, especially for big companies and maybe counties like Stockholm, maybe Stockholm and things like that. There are computer systems that filter, all applications that come in. Because if you advertise one job, maybe 500 people, apply for the job. You don't have time to go through 500 CVs or 500 cover letters or official letter. You don't have time for that. So what they do is they have a computer system that filters all the CVs that come in. And maybe if they program it to choose just 10, then if 500 people apply, then 490 will not even get to a person. We just filter away. And that is very important for people to know, because some people always say, I've looked for work, it's because of racism that I cannot get a job and things like that. In many cases, it has nothing to do with that. It's just that people don't apply for jobs properly. And even if you go to an interview, you don't present yourself in a good way, so you don't get the job. And if you try and try, you get depressed, you give up and say it's the system. It has nothing to do with the system in many cases, because a lot of employers, especially the companies, they have zero tolerance for racism and things like that. Even Stockholm start, if you send your application, in many cases, when it goes through the computer filter, it comes out, then your name is, blackened. So your name doesn't show, your age doesn't show, so we cannot say that it's Sarah who applied for this job, or it's Umi who applied for this job. It's just the basic, because it's competence-based recruitment. So they just look at the job advertisement, and your application, and try to match what's in the job advertisement and what's in your CV. If it passes that test, and then you have to go to an interview, then they will your name will be there. But the initial phases, your name is not even there. So they cannot discriminate you at that level. Maybe if you apply, and if it's a small employer, maybe if you go to a pizzeria, and they have like they employ, they want to employ maybe one person or something like that, and the number of employees is 5 or so, then they would know that, you know, like Sarah applied for this job. But for big companies and counties, that's not an issue there. So it's important to know that and realize that a lot of the times it has nothing to do with racism. It has to do with what we do as people looking for work. Any questions so far?
Yeah, I was really concerned about the site that you raised within racism, which is most likely the site that normally would puncture the confidence of a failing arbetssökande in that sense. And it was really good that you raised that point. And if you can emphasize more, because I have seen many people relate their lack of having a job with the norms of not being welcome, or they cannot break the social barriers, and they would fall into that context.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reality. Maybe you cannot say that, okay, there is no racism at all, but that would not be true. But it's important to realize that in a lot of instances, it has nothing to do with racism. It has to do with the person looking for work. Like I said in the beginning, looking for work is a science. So, and a lot of people don't know that. You just, you know, like, think that you can take one CV and send it to 100 places. And that the people don't know that, you know, like, you have not applied for this job. You have, in your mind, you have applied for the job because you've sent in your CV, your cover letter, especially in you have sent it. But then it wouldn't even get to me as a recruiter because you've done a lot of wrong things. So it's the computer that filters it out. It doesn't come to me. And if you send it to, if you apply for 100 jobs and you just get that standard letter, or thank you for your interest in the company, but sorry to tell you that the place has been filled by somebody else. You get discouraged, you get depressed. That I've looked for work, I've applied, and I've searched and searched and searched. I've not found it. So it's because, you know, the system, they are racist people, you know, that's why I've not found work. There is racism, nobody can deny that. There is structural racism also that makes it difficult for people. But then that cannot be the explanation. It is not the explanation for the failures of many people to find work.
They're not relevant enough within the context of what probably the employee is searching for.
The employee is searching for, yes. And we'll get to that. We'll look at the CV, and we'll look at what people do wrong when they look for work. And how do you look for work and where? Websites, resume, LinkedIn, Blockhead, Facebook, Job Safari, and places like that. It's important to know also that 80%, according to the statistics, 80% of all work is not advertised. 80% of all work available is not advertised. You know, like, employers employ through contacts. If I work with John and I know that John is a very good person, then I'm a human being. I would assume that John's friends and relatives are going to be good employees also. So, and it's very expensive to recruit because of various reasons. Maybe if they advertise on Advertisement, it's free. If they advertise on LinkedIn, on Blockhead, on your Safari, it costs money. Indeed, it's very expensive. There are some places where if you to advertise a job will cost you maybe 20,000 crowns, And as an employer, I don't want to spend that. I can take a chance that John's friend or relative is going to be as good as John, and then employ, ask John to recommend a friend. That means that I cut that cost and the process, because even if I advertise on advertisement, a lot of people are going to apply. And when they apply, I have to go through the process of interviewing them. First maybe through telephone, and then asking them, inviting them for a face-to-face interview. That takes a long time, a lot of resources also. So the employers want to avoid that, so they would just go the easy way. So, and 80% is through contacts. So, and when a lot of people, when they look for work, they go to advertisement, and that means that it's just out of this 20%, maybe 15% go to advertisement to look for that job. And your chances are very, very slim. You know, so even if you are going to look for work through websites, go to other places or search on Google, because if you search for Google, then you get results from advertisement and from LinkedIn, from Facebook. You know, like you'll get, because it's like robots that search. So you get a lot of results that are not website specific. So it's important that when you look for, you think about that.
Yes. I just wanted to add or emphasize what you were talking about you know, applying for a job. For example, if a preschool is want to employ somebody for a vacancy, it is obligatory to advertise it.
Yes, yes.
But like you say, if I know Umi, and I know that Umi is my friend, and you know, like you say, I am a very good person. I have very good social skills, and I'm easy to work with. I'm determined, and I'm good. And my boss really likes me and knows that I really, you know, I deliver, you know, every time. So then I will just recommend Umi, and then Umi can get the job. And then the job is already out there because it's obligatory to advertise it.
Yes.
That's people need to understand that. And then if Sarah, John, Pa, and Rama applied, obviously they have to apply, and nobody will reject them not to apply. But already Umi have gotten the job. So this is what we need to clarify.
Yes.
Most of the time, it has nothing to do with racism, but contact. Yes.
It's very important. Like I said, 80% of jobs are not advertised.
Yeah.
So when you only base your job seeking activities on advertisements, then you are really missing out on 80% of available jobs. So it's very important that you think about it when you look for work. And talk to your friends, talk to your family, and contact the employer directly. If I want to work at McDonald's, for example, I can just go to Medway Plaza here, go to the McDonald's, walk in there, and ask for the boss. And say, I'm really interested in working here. And then present myself, make an elevator pitch statement. That's going to help you present yourself within 30 seconds. You know.
And it's also it's also easier to find a job when you have already a job.
Yes, yes,
Any kind of job.
yes, yes. It's very important because I mean, like, if you are working, then that means that you've built up your routine. And you wake up every morning to go to work. Then me as an employer, I would say, okay, I'll employ her because I mean, like, she's already working. She has all these routine things like that. But if somebody else comes in who has been unemployed for 1 year, maybe it will be a challenge for this person to start waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning to come to work. So it's very, very, it's much easier. It's like you said, to apply for, look for work when you already have work. And I've told that to many of my clients that when you come in, it doesn't matter if you don't have a job. What is important is find a job. We have clients who come in from other countries. They're highly educated. Some are engineers, some are doctors, and things like that. But then they cannot speak the language, you know, and to be able to work as a doctor, I mean, you have to, depending on where you get your education, there are many courses that you have to take here. And even if you don't need to take courses again, then I mean, like you don't know the language to such a level that you'll be able to work within your profession. So if you sit down waiting for your dream job, you will never get it.
No.
By the time you realize that you're not going to get it, you're old. But if you come in and you go and work for McDonald's, or you look for work as a cleaner, then at least you're making money, and then you're building up your routine. So when you apply, you increase your chances of getting work.
And it's also very important to write your really competence in your CV.
Yes,
Because
yes.
someone we see people who writing only whatever they want
Yes.
to get a job, and it's not right.
Cover letter that solution who you are, your past and your previous, your experience. So your employee can know who is, this is Ismail and Jai, who is passed through, and they can be interested, oh, this person is suitable for this position. That's also.
Or some people are only copy and paste all that. It is not right.
Imaginary self.
Yes.
Some people have asked me, can I lie on my CV?
Yeah.
You know, what I say, if you lie, that you can perform something. Then the moment you send the CV, go and learn how to perform that. You know, because I mean, like, if you say you can work with Excel, and then you get employed, and that is one of the reasons maybe you get employed. Maybe you have equal qualifications and work experience with John, and John was not employed because he could not work with Excel. But you said that you are employed, you said you can work with it and you get employed. The moment you get there and you're gonna work with Excel, then that means you lied. And then, I mean, even if you are not fired, then the confidence, you know, like your employer wouldn't have confidence in you because you've already lied. So it's important to think about all these things.
And I wanted to raise a point for the kids maybe watching this, because most of the time when a child is growing up, I normally advise them to look into a grown-up that they admire. And then they go to ask this grown-up what they work with. If they see them work every day, from home to work and home to work, and they really like their style. They can even use that same person as a mentor, who would be the step of the same thing that you just spoke about. And most of the jobs are not being announced, and probably a neighbor that discovered the child that was so interested in being a pilot, finally gave the child, when he became a pilot, the chance of having a job. So it's really good to find a mentor as a youngster, somebody that inspires you into something. Because most children, I ask them all the time, what would you like to be when you grow up? They have not decided yet. And probably a thing like this, as you said, might be something to look into.
Oh, lying is not good.
No.
Maybe if you are a politician, you can lie. Like George Santos in America, he lied all over the place, you know, about his CV and everything, where he worked, where he get education and everything. But lying is bad, and we teach our children not to lie. So obviously, what Lamin is talking about, you know, we should be the role model, and you know, we are the one who should be, you know, doing good, so that our, you know, children can look up to us. And so lying is bad. It's very bad to lie.
Is there space where we can talk about how kids changing mentors all the time, because we have a huge problem on that. A lot of kids feel that I have found my mentor, the next week they find another mentor, another week another mentor. So we need to sensitize them on how to stick to a mentor, because being consistent is very important.
Yes.
And another thing is like letting employers find you. There are a lot of recruitment agencies that ask you to register and put your CV or your cover letter. When you log in, then you upload your CV there. So employers also have a login and can come in if they're looking for work. If they're looking for employees, and when they go there, they find 2 or 3 that match what they're looking for. So it's important to do that also. I mean, if you are looking for work, to register as much as possible, so you will increase your chances. And like we said before, also your own network, that's your family and your friends. That's very important. Like I said, 80% of the work, of the jobs available are not advertised.
How about those people who are technically weak? Like we have people, even as young as me, who don't like going on the internet or getting handles meaning having Instagram, LinkedIn, all these handles. How about people like that? What do they do?
You can go to Augustine, you can ask them for help. Now, because of the reduction in like the number of people employed by Augustine, it's difficult. But for example, if you live in Stockholm, you can go to EliteMedia. You can register there if you have difficulties looking for work, and there you'll have a job coach. You have all the help that you need to find work.
I think she was.
And then you don't need any Facebook for that. And then you just need to be consistent to go up every morning and wait until they call.
Can you repeat that again? Can you start it again? Sorry.
You can also go to the vad heter det då? Vikariepoolen and give them your name. They will write it down. You will be consistent, go up every morning, make yourself ready, wait for a call, and take everything in the beginning.
That way you don't have to join Facebook, you said?
You don't need to have any Facebook.
Because that's what I wanted you to repeat, so that some of those people who are very lazy to go on social media, to feeling that they have to be on social media to get employed or to socialize, so you can do it without. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, if I want to learn, I learn something like I want to be a professional coach in football, which is the best way to get that studies.
If you go to, for example, if you go to EliteMedia, they have CEBA, that will help you. If you say that you want to do this, they will help you to look at the courses that you need to be able to qualify. Then look at your educational background, employment history, and things like that. And then from there,
The voice is gone, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so then if I want to write a CV with that, because I started from back home, Gambia, and even here, I start training a team like Banjul FC, but I want to do it in a professional way, or to study it as my target. Yeah, I want to do.
You mean if you like you started from Gambia,
Yeah.
and now you want to write the CV, and you want to include Gambia? Are you asking that question? If you have to include Gambia or just start fresh?
No, yeah, I have a CV. Okay, if I want to write a new CV, because of I did a professional coach in Gambia for 3 years, then I came here. I start training with 2 years with 1 year. I just go to Banjul for 1 year. then which is the best way to write that CV, then because I want to learn more in a professional way.
Because someone was asking that online as well, if they can use their previous CV, which is like if you're from back home, it can be difficult. That's a good question. Why? That's a good question.
I think there's two questions there.
Yeah.
That you have. One is to complement your CV, so that you can look for say, for example, coaching jobs for youths or so. The second as well is to, I think, if I understand right, is to elaborate or to increase your knowledge in that area, how to go your whereabouts in order to increase your I would say its professional level in that. So there's two things there. The education and building your CV. Yeah.
The question, the one online included, is it useful to use what you did in Gambia and add it to your CV here?
Yes.
So, yeah.
I can answer that one first.
Yes.
I mean, like work experience.
Thank you.
Experience. It doesn't matter where you get it from. If you come to Sweden when you are maybe 35 and you've worked maybe 10 years in Gambia, then if you don't want to include it, then you are missing out because the work that you did in Gambia is important. So you have to include all your employment history in your CV. But then we come to that. I mean, like there's a section on CV and what to do and what not to do. But it's also very important that you keep your CV concise, short, 1 page if possible, max. Because I mean, you can have all the work experience in the world, but not everything is relevant. You have to tailor your CV to the job that you're looking for. So it's important to keep that in mind. It's very important that if you have relevant work experience from Gambia or from Senegal or from Nigeria or wherever, it's important to include it in your CV. Yeah, and the education, like you said about developing yourself. Like I said, if you live in Stockholm Stad and you have difficulty, you can contact Arbetsförmedlingen, for example. Register there, and then when you talk to your handler, tell him or her that this is what you want to do, and they can help you. And there are some resources at Arbetsförmedlingen that can help you. I mean, even if you have difficulties in finding work for whatever reason, you have diagnosis and stuff like that, they have CEOs that can help you. But if you are interested in work, for example, in studying and things like that, they can, if you live in Stockholm, you can register at the employees. There are like 4 different employees, one in Bluebell, one in Parholmen, one in Kista, and one in Vällingby. Otherwise, you can just employ. They have like student inscription letter like that, so they can help you go through your education and then advise you on the types of courses that are available and what you need as qualifications in order to take those courses. So if you don't have those qualifications, for example, language qualifications or other subject qualifications, they can help you to like get those, and then when you have everything, you can go and study what you really want to study.
And then maybe to go to a football field, a well-known football trainer, and try to get your feet with them, and as a mentor, they probably would show you the steps. Because most of the time, I would say, the most impressive job seeker. Yeah, see, then you have to find yourself in Italy, probably. But the most impressive sökande, the seeking job, the one that came to the employee directly and asked for the job. Like, I know you need me here, and I know I can do this, and if you're looking for me, because most of the time an employee would be sitting right in the middle of about to seek for a job, when you just come in and present yourself, even without a CV.
Yes.
And just be that person that he's looking for. And normally, you would just find that he would probably put you in mind or give you a date.
Yes, it happened to me. I'm just speaking from experience. What you have said. Some few years ago, I just stepped in somewhere. That moment, they just before that start there, and they say, "You are the business, you are employee." Yes, they just offer me a job there. That's very right.
Yeah. So, yeah, because I had done that through experience, and I'm sitting here with my friend here. We met in the mosque in Hotel Mosque, and he was working with his mobile phone, and he's a very professional guy. He works as a freelancer with me, and then yet employed in another country. In another company. So we've been working for nearly about 10, 15 years now, and yeah. Nobody would know that, but he came himself and he told me what he could do.
Yeah.
And now I couldn't employ him because I know what he's worth. So I let him be employed, and then he works on his free time to work with me. And that's a beautiful way of probably doing it.
And I must say again one thing, like I must say again one thing, like for most of we immigrant or black people, we used to say they don't give us the job because of racism. That's not true. If you really know what you are doing, you get a job. Like I applied for a job at a company they call iPhone Kuntesi. Yeah. So they called me, and by that time we have like it was iPhone 4. They have like a lot of trouble with sound chips problem. You'll be calling someone couldn't hear you. Then when I sent in my CV, the boss called me, and I came to his place. I came to the working place. He told me that if I can do this job, I said yeah. He gave me a trial just for 2 days. You know, he fired a Swedish guy and employed me immediately.
There you go. It's in the mindset.
Immediately. Since then, I let that one go, and it's good that important that try to know what you are doing properly and let all those thinking go. You will get a good job.
It's very important. Very important.
And you're still working there?
I change from company to company. I'll be working here. I see a good one that I change. So that's how we switch.
Elevate now. He's working in a bigger company now.
So I just go.
Big money.
Can I just add one thing? Because both you and Lavin have touched a very important point, which is it's not always about money. Because like Lavin said, you came and offered yourself not to pay, but also maybe to learn more, and also to showcase your skill before asking for employment. So sometimes it's also good to have that in back of your mind that I'm willing to go to this in this path, but not necessarily for money at the start, but you have a long-term plan or strategy in how to get this employment. So it's not always to get your dream job, it's not always by starting and getting paid. Sometimes you need to offer your service as free.
Yes, very important. And this guy was trained from the Gambia. So he came from the Gambia. So he came with a knowledge that I couldn't even do. So he taught me a lot of things, because of that. And it's just a beauty.
Yes. All right, now we want Buhari to continue because we're running out of time, and I know the discussion is very, very important, and there are so many questions you have, but let us give Mr. Gassama the opportunity to continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. Yes. It's interesting that the things that people want to do. It's very interesting because these are things that people don't understand, and you just blame everything on racism. There are a lot of things that we as people need to do. I've touched on recruitment agencies. Social media is also very important as a tool to find work, and job fairs also. Because of the fact that we live in a very technological society. Newspapers, now they're still relevant, but it's easier to just go on social media or go on the internet to find job advertisements. So, but they are still relevant. These are where you will be able to. And one important thing is that if you have your CV, you have to update it regularly. It's very important because I mean, if you have a CV that you wrote in maybe 2021, and then it's 2023 now, and then you've worked or you've updated your education, you studied something, one course here, one course there. It's important that you don't leave those things out, because if you don't update it, and I received the CV, then what I can see is that you the last place you worked at was somewhere in 2021. But that's not the reality. You have worked somewhere else after that. So it's important to all the time update your CV. And when you write your CV, it's important to use bullet points, and these should be focused, so that where you display your strength, your education, you list and things that you've done, you list them. There's a reason, because if you just give me a CV that's all over the place, too much text and things like that, it's not interesting. It's not even good for the eyes. It's not pleasing to the eye. So if you go out to a party, you just don't go in. You don't go to the party just like with the clothes that you have on when you're at home. You fix yourself and then you go to the party because you want to look handsome or attractive. So think about your CV. Think of your CV also along those lines. Write a good CV, and we'll come to that also down the line. And you might need your CV or cover letter. And for those Swedish specialistbrev, that's cover letter in English. So make sure that you have everything in your email, so that if you need it at once, then you can access it. But if you have them as physical, printed out on paper, and then you leave them at home, you meet an employer, then you might not be able to give it to that person. So make sure that all the time you have it in your email. And very important also that you make note of the jobs that you apply for. Thank you. Jerry. That you make note of the workplaces that you've sent applications to, because it's important. Because if I send an application to McDonald's, I apply for a job there today, and then maybe in a month's time, maybe my CV, the way that I wrote it this time, I have to tailor it to the specific job. So I did not include all my work experience, all my education. And then in a month's time, I apply for a job there, and then maybe I write things that are different from there. They might still have a copy of my CV that I sent there. So, but if you know that you've applied to, you've sent an application there, then at least you will know that, okay, this is what I wrote when I sent this application. If you are looking for work and you are not tailoring your CV and sending it to maybe 100 employers, after a while you forget what you've applied for before. So you have a question.
I don't have a question. It's really important also to collect different people in your resume. So if you apply different jobs, you have a variety of people to pick from.
Yes.
Because it doesn't need to necessarily be a boss. It can be a co-worker.
Yes.
Who can tell me that I'm a good worker.
Reference.
So,
Yeah.
yes. So the same time you update your resume, you update your references.
Yes. Yes, it's very important, because what a mistake also that some of my earlier clients used to do is we fix jobs for them, to an interview, and then maybe the employer wants to employ them, and they give out people's names and telephone numbers as references, but they don't inform those people.
Yes,
And then the boss calls them and they're like, who is that?
Yeah.
Maybe you've worked there for maybe 5 years ago, but then they don't remember you because a lot of people have passed through there. So it's important that you call them and tell them that, okay, I've applied for a job and I've given you as my reference. So they will know when, like when they receive that call, that it's about you.
If you want to hit hard on reference, because I know it's very important, reason being is it helps to legit your CV, because every employer will know that you cannot be lying and give me your boss's number or name. So that way, so reference is very, very important, because I notice that a lot of CVs, they don't put references, they don't put telephone numbers, and they don't even put their boss's last name. So even if you have a fight with the boss, it doesn't matter, just put it there. Because the boss doesn't look at the fight, he or she looks at the job that you have done there. If you know what you have done there is really good, just put it in, because I know a lot of people omit some bosses and some workplace just because they felt that there was a conflict there before. It's not about the conflict, it's about what you did there. I think it's important.
But even like there are different schools of thought when it comes to including your reference on the CV. Because I mean, like if you pass through the different stages and you go to the last interview and the employer wants to employ you, then they will ask for your reference. Some people sometimes write references left on what you call it, on request. But I mean, like you can write it. I mean, if I want to employ you and I know that I've interviewed you and you are my suitable candidate, then I'll ask for references.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, you can do it because like I said, there are different schools of thought regarding the necessity of including references. When if you have it physically on a piece of paper and then maybe you send it there and then maybe you remember, oh, I had another boss that I want as reference, then you've already sent this person's name. But if you just leave it, then when it's time, if they ask you for a reference, then you can give the name. Yes, you talked about just like the example that Lamin gave you, like knocking on doors. If you do that, you get the chance to introduce yourself directly without having to go through the recruitment process, and then the employer gets a picture of you and remembers you better. Like when he came to Lamin, then like Lamin, he introduced himself, and so Lamin knows that okay, what's your name? Drame. Yes, this is Drame. So even if you go there next week, then Lamin will remember that you've been there before. And you get to see the company or the employer on site, which can give you an idea of whether you like the place or not, or you like the people around there or not. And one important thing also is that you know how to get there and how long it takes to get there. A lot of mistake that a lot of people do is like when they apply for jobs and are called for interview, they wait until that same day to try to find the place, and anything can happen. You can get lost, or there might be problems with traffic and things like that. But it's always good. What I advise is that go there a day before or some days before and know the quickest route to the place. So if you need to go for interview, you know directly that okay, I'm not going to look for the place. I know exactly where it's located. So, and another thing also is that you need to know about the company. You have to do your research.
Yes.
Because if you go to an interview, they will probably ask you. It's one of the basic questions. What do you know about us? So you have to. It's easy now. You just Google. If you want to work at McDonald's, just Google, and then you will see information about the company. So when you go there, I mean, like you look interested because you've taken the time to study and learn about the company. That is very important.
I think self-confidence is very important for a man because of in 2018 I wrote a CV waiting for a job for 1-2 months. I didn't get a job. Then I went out going around in the town. I met those guys who are putting slabs in the roads, construction. Then I told them myself. They told me, can you do it? I said yes. And they told me, you can come tomorrow, come back in the morning. Early in the morning, I'm there before the time. And they came, they gave me a road. Then they told me, can you build there something? Then I started. Also, if I know in Gambia how we built. Then I do it like that. I started. They give me small stones to fix it. Then I took it again and I take a level and do my stuffs. And after they told me, okay, you are employed. Straight. That's why I always have a confidence to yourself. You have to have self-confidence. And then try to explain something correct. Don't lie. If you lie, if I lie then at that moment, the following day if I came back, they told me just try to do it. I cannot because if I know I lied yesterday. That's why the most important thing, let's try everything. We have to advise each other like Gambians. Professional is very important. We have to try to have our own professional before. Because of if I said I'm a carpenter or I'm a missionary, they see that this guy, wow, I want to go to Europe. So you are wasting your time going into construction or you being a carpenter. They just belittle you. They see that it's nothing. And it's very important in Europe, if you came here without a professional, to get a job is very difficult to get a job.
That's very true.
Yeah.
So it's important for, especially young people in Gambia, instead of just sitting around drinking attire and dreaming of coming to Europe. Yes, that they go ahead and learn some skills that can be useful here in Europe. And another way is to find work, is to call around. And like I said, if you know that you want to work at a company, then you can find out information about the company, and then the person, maybe the manager, or even if you don't know the manager, you can just call and just say you want to talk to the manager, and then you present yourself. And here it's very important to get your elevator pitch, because if you call, then people will not maybe have time to listen to you, like maybe 10 minutes or something like that. But you prepare a short, his presenter code, like we say in Sweden, elevator pitch statement, then you can present yourself in a good way. And then even if you're called, what I used to tip my clients was like, okay, write notes on the wall. You know, like if you have these post-it laps, you paste them on the wall. Whilst you're calling, you know, if you cannot remember what you're going to say, you can read them as you walk around. And my name is this, I'm calling because I'm interested in working for your company. And then you go to the next, you know, my educational background is blah, blah, blah. And then another note there, my employment history is this and this, and these are my characteristics and things like that. So you just have them this as a cheat sheet. So then it's a very effective way also of finding work, that you call around to different companies. Introduce yourself, write a script, and be prepared, because if you are not prepared, then the moment somebody says hello, you might panic, you know, and don't know what to say. And it's important that you are structured when you make that call. Introduce yourself, tell them why you're calling, and be prepared also that they're going to ask questions. Yeah, so if you know the basic questions that they might ask, then you can prepare answers. So when they call, you know, like, you'll be able to answer, like, why are you interested, for example, in working for us? What experience do you have? So at least if you have this information and like the position you're looking for and why you think you can be a good candidate, then you'll be able to answer questions that they ask you. Yeah, and now we come to the CV.
Curriculum vitae.
Yes, and these are basic tips. Like I said before, it's very important that you tailor your CV to suit the job description and the company. Because if you look at a job advertisement, it tells you there that we are looking for somebody. If they're looking for a nurse, for example, these are the qualifications that they're looking for. And this is the work experience that they're looking for. And these are the characteristics that they're looking for. It's stated in the job advertisement. It's important that you read those and you tailor your CV to that specific job, to the specific requirements of the advertisement. Because if you do that, then your CV will pass through the computer filter system, because it looks at those things that are in the job advertisement. Because if they're looking for education, then you have it there. If they're looking for work experience, you have it there. Characteristics. When it comes to the system, we will flag it as green. If you don't tailor your CV, we will flag it as red and just reject it. It would not come, it would not go through to a person. So it's very important to, tailor your CV to the job description especially, and, try to tailor it also to the company. And like I said before, be concise. It doesn't matter what you have for work experience, how many years you've worked and all the experience that you have. It's very important that you keep it short, max a page if you can help it. Otherwise, maybe just a few more lines on the other page. But be concise. Not too much information, because it will look too jumbled up if you have too much information. And put the best and most relevant information first, because if they're looking for this kind of qualification, this work experience, make sure that it's there in the top, at the top. Because if I have to look at 50 CVs, then I don't have time to read through everything. I'll just skim through, and that's also, we'll come to that also when you look at the structure of the CV, to make sure that it's very easy for the computer system to read it, and for people also to just skim and get like an idea of who is applying. Because so that if I read through this and this is interesting, I'll put it here, and then I read through 10 others that are not interesting, just put them aside. So it's important to think about that and choose the right format. It's just important for the computer systems, applicant tracking system. That's the computer systems that filter out. And if you put too many graphics and things like that, then or format it in specific ways, then this system, the software, cannot read it. That means it will reject it outright. So your CV will not come to me as the person recruiting. Keep it simple, and make sure that you make your contact info prominent, especially if you're leaving, like CV. If you're leaving printouts. So if you're leaving maybe 2 pages, make sure that at least your contact info is on both pages, because otherwise, if I receive 500 CVs and then maybe I'm looking at them, I happen to drop a page or something like that. I don't have time to go through everything to know that this belongs to you. And that's design your resume for skimmability, and that's just like I said before, so that they can just skim through. And even for the computer system also. And the CV, like has different parts. Your personal profile, where you make a short statement, and then your skills, where you note down your skills and your experience, your work experience, your education, and other information that you might be necessary. Maybe all your awards and things like that are relevant, or that can be relevant to the job that you're looking for. And make sure that you keep your work experience recent and relevant. Like I said, before, it is very important, because you can have 100 jobs. And one important thing is also, if you have short-term jobs, maybe you work a month here, and then you work 2 weeks there, you work 2 months there. Maybe within the space of a year, you've had like 10 jobs. So So then you have to be careful the kind of CV that you use. Because if you send me that CV and you have 10 jobs within a year, I'll say that something is wrong with you. Maybe you don't get along with all these people, you know. So then we come to different types of CVs, but then you don't present everything, you know. Maybe you say, okay, from January 2023 to maybe June 2023. But I've worked with this and this. Instead of saying January, I worked here, February I worked here, March I worked here, April I worked here, because that would tell me that you are not reliable, you are not a person that I should employ. Maybe if you come there, you will fight with me, you will fight with all the other employees. So it's important to think about that. And we've talked about transferable skills, you know, in your experiences. Maybe that you are very punctual and, you know, you're good at communication and things like that. These are things that are important also for the employer. So it's important to include. And don't neglect non-traditional work. If you volunteer, for example, if you volunteer to work for the Red Cross or whichever organization it is, it's important to include it in the CV. But like I said, relevant. Always think relevant. Is it relevant for me to have this information or not? So think about that. If you have if you volunteered before, and you think that the work that you've done is relevant, then include it. And use important keywords from the job description, like I said before, so that your CV you'll increase your chances of your CV passing through the computer system. And even for me, if I have to read it without the help of a computer system, also I'll know that you're really applying for this job, not just sending your CV all over the place. And put your experience first, and then education later. And it's important also that your education, you put it in reverse chronological order. That is, if your latest education is first. If you study something from January 2023 to May 2023, you put that one first. And then maybe you study something in 2022, you study something in 2019, then you put it in the reverse chronological order. So it will be easier for the employer to see your latest achievements. And if you have achievements and honors, it's important also to highlight them. Even if you are studying now, it's important also to study, like to put in there, maybe from this period and then continuing education or something like that, so they know that you are doing something. Make sure that you include a skill system and divide your skill section also for readability. It's very important. If you have too much information, then your CV gets boring. And it's not easy and pleasing to the eyes. And if you have certifications, maybe if you are working with computer systems and you have Microsoft certification, for example, or other types of certifications, it's important that you put them there. And it's important also to have an interest section in the CV, because there you will present yourself as a human being. And there's a lot of information that if I'm recruiting and I read your interest, for example, if you say that during your leisure time that you like hanging out with family and friends, that is what you wrote. But what you are telling me as an employer is something different. Because I know that you are a sociable person. You like to talk to people, you like to socialize, then if I employ you, then you'll be able to get along with my workers, with your colleagues and things like that. If you put in the intersection that you like to train, that's what you put there. But what you're telling me as an employer is that you are healthy, you are active. Because, I mean, if you are not active, if you are sick, then you're gonna train. So everything that you put in your CV, you put there as a layman. It's telling me something completely different. Yes. And it's very important that you make sure that your CV is free from errors, because it's nothing turns a recruiter off more than reading a CV and seeing so many typographical errors and other types of errors. So make sure, because what it tells me is that you don't care, or you are just too careless, you're slugging. So make sure that you read through your CV, give it to somebody else to read through, to make sure that it's free from errors. And save your file, your CV as PDF or Word. It's because of these computer systems. Those are the systems that those are the formats that they can easily read. If you save it in another format, then you might decrease your chances of your CV passing through the system, because they cannot read them. And if you summarize, what is a good CV is that it's easy to skim through for both the person and the computer system, that it can pass, like these applicant tracking systems, that it's free of spelling and grammar errors, that it's ideally no longer than one page, and that is tailored to the specific job. It is focused on the applicant's skills and achievements, and that you use a professional font and use a like simple layout, and you include also a resume summary or an objective. It's very important. A bad CV is disorganized and difficult to read. It has spelling and grammar mistakes. It includes distracting graphics, because if you have so many pictures and so many colors and things like that, it's very distracting to the person that's reading it, and maybe to the computer system cannot read it. So, and make sure also that you have a professional email address. I mean, maybe you don't have the possibility of getting something at like company or something, but if you say fatu@gmail.com, that's fine, but not like niceness. Yes, for example, niceness@gmail.com. That's why this person is so serious. I mean, how can you look for work and then expect me to take you seriously if you write niceness@gmail.com?
What about far too niceness?
Still.
Actually, I have niceness.
You have niceness. Don't send it to. Don't use it when you're looking for work.
I have it private, I have 2 emails.
But this is important, because I see people writing scandalicious.com, sexy.com.
No.
I didn't know this. No, honestly, but I didn't know this is not really good. I thought it was okay. For me, I just put JBC in my kids. So it's okay. But
What do you say?
How about numbers like 94.gmail85?
It's not even that professional. I mean, like, it
Like
may be.
Ismail and Jai 94.
Yes, well, that's
Yeah, you
fine,
can
because
use
they know
that
that
and then
email,
numbers.
Gmail and things like that. I mean, like, I was lucky that I had an email when email just came out.
Okay.
So I have like, well, not just came out, but when, like, it was available on
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
so I have Hotmail, I have Gmail, all of those,
Yeah.
just my, like
Your name.
my first name.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because, I used to have worked with computers since the 80s.
Okay.
So, like I was lucky to just cut it short. I was lucky to, get just emails with just my name and gmail.com, at hotmail.com.
Okay.
Yes.
But at least one can have 2 and use one for official,
Professional,
one
yeah,
for private.
yeah.
It's more important, But if you just have one email and you write beauty.com
Niceness.
or niceness.
But that depends. If you have a business that is called that, It's
No, if you have a business. that's
yeah.
all that,
Yes,
so
like,
that's
a
different.
business,
Yeah.
yes.
But when it comes to jobs and stuff like that, so I think it's better you have something different.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know how people are not serious. Some people will write mahal.com, yasa.com. I'm just assuming. Gambians, we write anything.
It's not professional.
It's not professional,
No,
yeah.
not at all. So you have to have a professional email address to send to
Yeah.
employers when
Yes.
you're looking for work. And make sure that you don't have like huge chunks of text.
Yes.
You know, because it looks very disorganized and it's just jumbled up, too much information. And about CV also is not tailored to the job position. And it doesn't match your cover letter. Because those two things together are very important. And include, your achievements. Not all the achievements are quantifiable, but include, like all your relevant achievements. And like I've said, relevant many times. So it's very important that you tailor your CV and make sure that it's relevant information, not something that's not relevant. And this is a good example. I forgot to put the source, but this is a good example. It looks good. It looks, like very easy. Here you can just see your personal statement. If I want to look at your achievements, I'll go directly and look at your achievements. It's pleasing to the eye. Your education, if I'm interested, I can go in there. It's bullet points. Very easy to read. But this is a bad CV because you have italized font. It doesn't look professional.
What about the people
Can you see? Sorry.
who wrote all the education they have from primary school to
I have a question like that.
It's not necessary. I mean, if you are
I
looking,
met one Apple boy who wrote that
it is not.
primary one, primary two, all my results. I said, primary one, primary two, yes, I have to put it there. I said, okay.
That's why I'm saying relevant. If you are looking for, if you're applying for a job, I've just taken nursing because a lot of Gambians work within the nursing industry. Look at what is relevant. If you are for example, if you want to, or a nurse, a registered nurse, you have to go to university to be able to study that. Then, automatically they will know that you've already studied the high school.
You've
You've been to high school. So it's not necessary to put your primary school education. It's not relevant. It's not relevant. So it's not even relevant to put your results on the CV. Maybe if you have summa cum laude, if you have honors on your specialty grade, or even maybe if you have a bachelor's with honors, then like you stated on your CV, bachelor's in management honors or something like that. But not that I got A in this, I got B in that. No, you don't do that.
How about to put your picture on the CV? Because I see many people that
Yes.
they have face photo on the CV.
In Sweden, it's okay. Now even in other places, because I remember when I was doing my first master in the UK, that was 96, I think, because I was studying human resource management, and that was a part, that was employment law. At that time in the UK, and even European law, you cannot put on if I make it a requirement for you to put your picture on a CV, and then you don't get the job, then I can claim that because I'm black. That's why you disqualified me. So employers were very careful. Even advertising. If I advertise a job only on Svenska Dagbladet and I don't advertise it on Expressen, then I'm excluding a lot of immigrants and things like that because they don't read Svenska Dagbladet because it's a conservative newspaper. Yes. So at that time they were very, very strict, and even women also. If I put it as a requirement that you're supposed to have maybe 5 years continuous work experience. Then I'm indirectly discriminating against women,
Yeah.
because a lot of women find it very difficult to get that, because when they start working, maybe
You build
they
a
have,
family.
yeah, they build a family, they have children, and they go through, like they take maternity leave,
Yes.
and then come back, and then work maybe 2 years, get another child. So it becomes very difficult for them to get continuous 5 years experience. So those were very strict times. I don't know how the situation is now.
I don't think it is anymore, because now I see a lot of CVs, especially the young ones now. They work 6 months, and then they change jobs.
Yes,
You
yes.
know, and so I mean, not even 6 months, but yeah.
So that's
I think what is more important is the continuity in your, like you mentioned earlier, in your CV. Like, if you have breaks, you have to be able to explain why. You know, it's okay to travel, but I mean, you have to give reasons why you have taken, and also with that as well, one can add that in your CV as well, because especially say those that in their 20s, they after college maybe they want to travel, and so you add that to travel, because that's also life experience as well, which counts.
But then you have to, it's important to know how to handle it also, both on your CV and at the interview, when they ask you these questions.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if you can appear to be irresponsible also, if you've taken too many trips. You know, so you have to, all these things are very careful, are very important that you really know how to present that. And the cover letter or patiently bread. One of the reasons for the cover letter is that it makes you stand out, because here you can present yourself as the best choice. You might have similar education, you know, maybe you might have your bachelor's, I have my bachelor's, you have your high school, I have my high school. We are very similar, but then we might even have similar work experiences. But then when we present our cover letter, that's where I can present myself in a way that I outshine you and convince the employer that I'm better than you.
For the cover letter, how many pages do you think?
Now it's still one
page.
One page.
One page.
Like that I see something like back and front,
No,
like you know, and
No, they don't have time. People don't have time to read that. It's too jumbled up, because like I said before, it depends on whatever work experience you have, whatever education you have, might not be relevant to, you know, like most of it is irrelevant to what the job that you apply for. So it's important that you tailor your CV and your cover letter too, and highlight your motivation. Why are you applying for this job? You know, because you just motivate your application and offer your answer to their problem. What is their problem? They need, you know, employees. They need qualified employees, because without them, then, you know, like the work would stand still maybe. So you are the solution to the job, to their problem. So make sure that you present yourself as the solution to their problem, and you increase your chances. And showcase your interest also in the company. And how do you do that? By researching. Like I said, it's very easy nowadays. It just takes like some seconds to search on Google, and then you get all the information that you need about the company to present at the interview, or even if necessary, you know, like when you send in your cover letter. And these are the sections. You have an opening, a body, and a closing. And just like if somebody wants to find a partner, I mean, like, you make sure that you train before you go and talk to that person. And how do you get their attention? I mean, maybe they don't have time for you.
Before you speak.
Yeah. If you say the right thing, you know, immediately they will get interested. But if you go there and kill them with boring stuff, they will say, no, I'm not interested in this person, you know. So think about that in this sense also. Make sure that you write a paragraph that catches the the employer's eyes, their interest. And just like I said, make sure that one page is fine. Include some paragraphs detailing your education, your work experience, your characteristics, and the closing paragraph also. And one thing is important that you might have your education, your work experience, your characteristics, but you have to link them to this specific job, and then let them explain why you are the best option, that you are the one that they should employ, and not the other 3 or 4 people that were called, like whose CV and cover letters were chosen.
Yes, I would also like to add that in the cover letter is supposed to show who you are.
Yes.
And maybe showing what you do in your free time, what you are doing now, maybe studying or working. You know, how, like you said, connect that to the work. You know, you basically say your interests, your characteristics, like you said again. Yeah, I don't think it's mostly like only about what you are supposed to give to the workplace, but also what the workplace can give to you and what you want from them. Yes.
Yes, very important. Just look at the cover letter as like what is going to sell it.
Market.
Yeah, it's going to market.
You better market yourself.
And the original, like you have to personalize your cover letter. That means you have to personalize it and tailor it. You just don't take that same problem with the CV, that you take the same personal letter, just change the job, deduct the job. Maybe you fix your personal letter and you apply to McDonald's, and then you just change restaurant betrayed at McDonald's, and then you send that same to what betrayed. You just change, that job title, what betrayed, and then you send it to so many different places. It's not going to work, because you have the same information that's not relevant. What is relevant for McDonald's is not relevant for a nurse. So if you send that same cover letter to both McDonald's and elder rural, for example, old people's homes, then they will know that this person did not send it to me. They sent it to 100 other people. If you know the person, like if you apply for a job, and then in the job advertisement they write that it is Gunilla Sundström, for example. When you start the letter, say, hey Gunilla Sundström or something, instead of just writing to whom it may concern. It's better to get to personal if you have that information, because the person receiving it is a person.
This is interesting. That it means a lot of Gambians need to change their way of writing.
Yeah.
Because I was taught that to it may concern.
Because if you send it to me, I know, this person called my name. Even without thinking of it, I look at you as somebody I know, my friend or something like that. But if you send it to whom it may concern, that's not personal at all. And make sure that you highlight your achievements, but do not sound too arrogant.
Judgment. You have about 5 minutes. It's 10 o'clock alarm. We started late, and it's very important. But how far gone are you?
No, not my interview, is it?
It's something that we can always do again, I think. I think it's interesting because we have a lot of people that share it. That means it is interesting.
Not my interview, and that is very important. If I could just give the interview, maybe just
Maybe next time we just start the time that we give, and then people can come.
Or you can organize it online.
Yes.
Still under the cultural, the Gambian.
There are different types of interviews. I'll try to, do this quickly. Situational interview, like questions, they give insight into how you would handle like situation, a specific situation that you might face while on the job. Gives you a chance to show, like your skills. Hypothetically, behavioral interviews, they focus on past experiences and how you've solved specific situations at work and like the skills that you've utilized to be able to do that. Before the interview, make sure that you research the company, you prepare a set of questions and answers to those questions, and you conduct a mock interview. Ask somebody, your partner, your child, your friend, to help you with the mock interview. Print out copies of your CV. Make sure that you are well rested, and then that you eat a good meal before going to the interview. Make sure that you present yourself professionally, have clean clothes and things like that. Dress for the role. And like I said before, determine the fastest route to the interview place. Make sure that if you don't know the place, go there the day before, and make sure that you will not have difficulties when you get there. So that's it, the day of the interview. Turn off your cell phone, your mobile phone, turn it off before the interview, and make sure that you rest, you sleep properly the night before, and prepare stories from your previous positions. Like, for example, they're going to ask you, how did you solve this situation and things like that? How do you handle stress? Make sure that you are specific when you do that, before you go there. So when they ask you questions, you can answer them properly. Be on time. Arrive at least 10 to 15 minutes early, so that you just don't go in there running, panting, and sweating. Be considerate and polite to all staff members, even people you meet in the elevator, you don't know who is who. Make sure that your devices are on silent. Avoid putting on too strong perfumes and things like that. And if you smoke, make sure that you don't smoke just before you go in. And be positive. Enter with a positive attitude. During the interview, listen carefully to the interview and make sure that you answer the questions that you are asked. Relate your skills, accomplishments, and objectives to the needs of the company. Provide specific examples when using the desired method of situation action results application. Focus on the positive aspects of your training. Use clear and direct language. Maintain eye contact. It's very important, especially if you live in Sweden. Maybe in Gambia, out of respect, you will not look at people directly in the eye. But in Sweden, if you talk to people without looking them in the eye, you might think that you are dishonest or that you are lying. So be aware of your body language. This is very important. After the interview, make sure that you send a thank you note within 24 hours of the interview. Evaluate your performance. See what did you do wrong, what did you do right, how can you do it better next time. Think about what you learned about the position and the employer during the interview. There's a lot of things, but since we don't have time, I'll just skim. And these are the questions, It's not that we didn't have a chance to go through it because of the time, but this is very important because it would have helped a lot of people to be able to answer the questions.
But it's important. We have taken telephone numbers and emails, so we're going to do a wider one online, and then at least we will continue.
You can do it online.
Online.
Online. And
Yeah, but once you are packing, if you are silent, then we can just go through this.
Yeah, because so carry on.
Okay. Like interview questions. Tell me about yourself. That is guaranteed that you're going to be asked that question. And like a mistake some people do is like they just say, my name is maybe is Samba, I'm 24 years old, I live in Bagamosten and things like that. But that is not what the employer is asking. When they say, tell me about yourself, they're asking you to tell them about your education, your work experience, your characteristics, and how all those things together will make you the best candidate for the job. So not where do you live and how old you are and things like that. And what attracted you to the company? It's, you know, like if you do some research, then you will know about the company, and then maybe you can give a good answer so that you apply to this company because you are interested in working for the company. And tell me about your strength. This is also a question that is going to be asked, and it's important to know yourself and list down some strength because everybody has strength. And those things are something that it's important to have information from the job advertisement so that you can, when they're looking for the characteristics, you can take one from there and then tailor it to the specific job. And what are your weaknesses is very important because everybody has weaknesses. Because if you don't provide weaknesses, that means you don't know yourself, or that you are a Superman or something like that. And they are not looking for Superman, they are looking for ordinary people. So it's important to list your weaknesses. But that question, what are your weaknesses, even though it's one question, but the answer is two. It's divided into two. You have to state your weaknesses, and then you have to state how you are trying to counter your weaknesses. Because if you just say that maybe, you know, like I have problems coming to work on time, then that's a problem, and it's a problem that the company doesn't want. But if you say I have a problem coming to work on time, and I try to counter that by making sure that I set my alarm 2 hours before, and I look at the timetable and things like that, and you're doing something about your weakness, and that's what the company wants to do. And why should we hire you? It's the same question, because if you look at this, they're different, but it's the same as tell me about yourself. Because here also the answer requires that you tell them about your education, your work experience, and how you are going to, and your characteristics, and why you are the best candidate. And where do you see yourself in 5 years or in some period in the future is also going to come in the interview. If you say, I don't know, then that means you are not motivated, you don't have ambition. So it's good for you to think maybe in 5 years' time, I would have achieved my education, or I would have, you know, my work and risen to a specific, yes, so that, you know, you show that you are interested, or you have ambition, and tell me about where, you know, like about a problem and how you solve it. And salary expectations also is important because a lot of people don't think about it. But in Sweden, I mean, like, because of the fact that the employers and the unions come together and determine, you know, the appropriate salaries for specific jobs in collective after. So you can, if you're looking for work as maybe a nurse, you can do a Google search and say, and look at what are the salaries for nurses with your specific education and experience. Then you can use that as a guideline. But if you don't have that, you can just say elite collective after. Then at least they would know that collective after the salary is along this, you know, like range. And do you have any questions for me? That's also very important because if you say no, that means that you are lazy, that means you are not curious, that means, you know, like you don't have ambition to come in. If you come all the way to an interview and you've applied for a job, you must have questions. So it's important that you prepare questions. Maybe a simple one would be, can you tell me what a typical day at work would look like?
Okay. Or what can you offer me? What are your benefits?
No, not at that time. No, you look at salary and benefits and stuff like that. You can think of later. You just show your interest.
Okay.
Some people ask, why do you work? And they say, I want to make money. You know, that's not a good answer. Think of something to show that you are interested in the job. There are more questions, but
Yeah.
We'll do it again. Unfortunately,
yes.
as the president of the comment section, I couldn't ask their questions.
Oh, sorry about that.
So some of them you already said, but there is this two. Whilst they're packing, I think you can hit on it. And thank you those on TikTok. I have seen that you have shared it so widely. Thank you so much. You make a TikTok. I appreciate that. Yen tamit wa Facebook this na share it. Thank you so much. Okay. Alright. Be mom answer nga ko. Someone asked CV what is according to years in naka ko NFA comes through. From yang on the top year going down, right?
Okay.
It depends on the CV. I'm not CV. I'm not. I don't know from document introduction order.
Wow.
But they said come like a functional CV.
That's one.
Wow.
Yeah, someone said, how many years? Okay, how many years of job should be on your CV? In a scale of 1 to 10 years, should all be there?
No, still, like I said, you have to look at what's relevant.
Okay.
When you might have worked at so many different places, that don't have any relevance to the job that you're applying for. So make sure that you tell your CV.
Someone said, I have a very good job experience, but I once lied and wrote my brother, and wrote my brother's name and phone number. I think this is very important. I once lied and wrote my brother's name and phone number as my reference. But when they called him, he was clueless. And I almost got that job as it was my dream job, but I lost it because of the lie.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
Even if you're sure that person was lying, that if you add somebody, or if you give somebody's name,
I'm not going to add something like that.
That
Another one said, how can I get a fast-track job without doing language in Germany? I'm a professional nurse from Uganda.
Okay, I don't know the rules in Germany.
Okay.
I cannot answer that. I don't know the rules.
All right.
If I say something, I might mislead.
But take it as here. Take it as if it's in Sweden, right? Just say that if it's in Sweden.
It depends on the profession.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to work as a nurse, then I have to have the required education. And language also is very important. You know.
And the last one is, my educational status is not great, but I have a good 17 years experience of 3 jobs. How will that help for a good CV?
It's very important. Your experience is very, very important. Even if you don't have the necessary education, if you can demonstrate that your characteristics and your work experience are good enough, then they might overlook the education thing. You know, it's important that you demonstrate how you are the best candidate. Education, work experience, characteristics, and why you are the best candidate. But even if this person has the education that they require, but you don't have it, you can still get a job.
Based on experience.
Based on the experience and how you present your experience and how you present your characteristics. That's why it's extremely important to look at the job description and then tailor your CV to the job. Look at the job advertisement and tailor your CV to the job advertisement.
How about those who have very good experience, but cannot speak English properly? In an interview, I mean.
Okay. It still depends on the job. It still depends on the job. What is important, even if you are making grammatical errors, is that you present the content that you present. The content that you present is good.
Wow. Good timing, sir. YouTube mom, popular ko doge, sir.